Hello, I'm back. I feel like a little ghost. All year I've been in and out of my videos, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna be really recapping the year just yet. I'm gonna wait till a bit closer to the end of the month, but I just still wanted to film a vlog today because, I don't know, I got a burst of inspiration and I've learned a few new things about myself as well, so I decided to share it with you. So yeah, I haven't been posting consistently pretty much all year, and there's always an excuse, but obviously if there's always an excuse, then there isn't really an excuse. So yeah, I don't know, I am a bit in a dilemma about goals and routines versus spontaneity and like letting it flow, which I will discuss today. And as much as like every vlog that I do, I usually have an answer or a solution or some kind of like realization. In terms of goals or no goals, I'm still like, I don't know. But yeah, let me give you a little bit of a recap of the last few weeks, and then we'll get into it. So basically all of November has been a shit show. I mean, it could have been worse, but basically on like the 1st of November, we had a meeting at work. And then I got sick for like a few days, on and off, like a week. And literally one day after I come back to work, they're like, yeah, so on November 1st, someone had COVID. So everyone who's been in contact with that person has to quarantine for 2 weeks. I was like, okay, that's fine, you know? And like, apparently after 1 week, you can go get tested. And if it's negative, you can go back to work. I was like, perfect. So that was a little bit annoying because I had just recovered from being sick I even started being sick. I remember I missed the Halloween party at work, like horrible. As a Canadian, that's like, Halloween is so important. I was at home for a week and actually it was quite good. I baked a pie. I cleaned a lot. I did a bunch of stuff that I didn't have the time to do. But this first quarantine, because there was more than one, also made me realize that no matter how much time you have in the world, which I did, there is something you do not want to do, or you keep finding an excuse not to do it. It's not because of something else. It's because of you, and only you, that are choosing not to do it. Which is basically my cleaning. Because I'm like, yeah, like I don't want to clean, but I have no time to do it. So I've come to terms with the fact that cleaning is just not something I like to do. And not like cleaning as in like decluttering or washing dishes, literally. Okay. I'm just gonna give you a little tour of my apartment just so you can get a feel of me as an individual. So basically, before filming this, I did all my dishes. It's clean. You can see my countertops are clean. That's clean actually, it just didn't have space there. Literally spotless, like that doesn't bother me. But the issue I have is with cleaning the bathroom and cleaning, like mopping the floors. And I think it's the perfectionist in me, because the drain is really horrible in my bathroom, but also in most Maltese bathrooms. So I think I just never get around to it because I'm like, it's gonna take too long, or it's not gonna be fully clean or whatever, and it just demotivates me. And same with the floors, like it takes a while and you have to like plan it because the floors stay wet for hours after. I know I'm probably doing something wrong, but in my case, the floors stay wet at least an hour after, so I have to plan where I'm gonna end up. And so mopping just takes a lot of mental and physical effort, so I just never do it. Like I probably do it once a month, which is honestly probably better than most people, but still, for me, I feel bad. That's what I realized during my first quarantine, is that things that you do not do because you have an excuse for is actually things you just don't want to do no matter the excuse. Then I went back to work with like 5 kids out of 30. I was teaching a little bit, but it obviously wasn't the same. Then I went to Ukraine for the weekend, which was honestly one of the best weekends because I got to see my grandma, I got to see my dad, and I got to see one of my best friends from Canada who's now living in Ukraine. So it was just amazing. We went to the opera. We went to a bunch of nice places to eat because in Ukraine it's cheap. We just mostly spent a lot of quality time together, and it was amazing. That was at least the highlight of my November. However, when I arrived back to Malta. I was under the impression that because I had a Maltese ID, I wouldn't have to quarantine. And I really read those instructions, but clearly I did not read them well enough, because when I arrived, they put me under quarantine again. And what's worse is that it's not even just 2 weeks and then after 1 week you can get tested. It's 2 weeks, no argument, nothing. And to make matters even worse, it was a Tuesday night. I was supposed to be back at work on Wednesday morning, and I'm just like, what the hell am I gonna do? So I'm actually crying at the border, like, obviously not asking them to not quarantine me, but I'm like basically like in shock, because I'm like, you know, ready to go back to work, like everything. I'm like, oh, how am I gonna explain this to my boss and everything? So I actually, luckily, my bosses are very nice, and we like all have each other on WhatsApp. I mean, that's how we communicate. So I just messaged my boss at like 11 p.m. I'm like, listen, this happened, I'm so sorry. And she was very understanding, and my work has been very understanding, but I still felt super bad because basically I didn't work for 2 weeks in person. I definitely worked still. I basically made lesson plans, more than I would usually, because usually I have 2 lessons in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. But because I have 3 groups, I only get to see the groups maybe twice or 3 times a week. So instead, I just make lessons for every day, for every group. So I'm like, please just take these. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. Because obviously being there in person is much more valuable to them than lesson plans, because you can always find something to do. Obviously my lesson plans were more than just random. Like, I really catered them to each student, because I'd rather do that than give something too easy for everyone. But anyways, that's another topic. So I've been in some kind of limbo for the past month and a half. Haven't been able to see my friends, haven't been able to do anything except for stay home alone with my thoughts, which I am grateful for. As soon as I woke up on Wednesday and was like, okay, this is the situation. You can be angry at it or you can accept it, because there's nothing you can do about it. What's done is done. So I basically just accepted it. Obviously, like, not super happy about it, but I was like, you know what? Another opportunity to do things that I haven't been able to do. For example, I'm almost done my Christmas song, which I am really excited to share with you. And I've also done so much reading, because I still have a subscription to the Ottawa Public Library and I get books online. I also have a lot of books here. Surprisingly, I barely watched any Netflix. I don't know. I mean, during the day I worked, and then, you know, that only leaves me a couple hours in the evenings, and didn't go to bed too late, so. But yeah, it's been honestly as shitty as it seemed to be, or I was expecting it to be. It was actually not that bad. And I think for the first time in my life, I was able to imagine how it would feel after. Like, the day I go back to work, it's gonna feel like, okay, like, those 2 weeks went by really quickly, and, you know, in 2 more weeks, I'll almost forget that it happened. Because humans are so good at adjusting and adapting that while I'm in quarantine, I adapted to the quarantine, and then I am assuming as soon as I go back to work within a few days, I'm just gonna adapt to being back at work, and it's gonna feel like I never left. So having that thought process has really helped me, you know, get through this and know that it's such a small, like, 2 weeks in my whole life is such a small period that, you know, there really are worse things in life. Coming back to friendships, I said last week that I have been having trouble creating real friendships here. And unfortunately, because of the last basically month and a half that I've been at home, I haven't been able to do things and go out to events which would make me like find people that have similar interests to me. Also, I know it's a lot about the mindset, but last year, or this year in January, I was so motivated in January. I made a lot of life changes, and they actually stuck with me for like 4 months, because up until I left to Europe. So I'm thinking that if I set this as a goal, you know, like go out and do things for myself and meet people in January, I think as like a fresh start, you know, I start a new routine, I think it could help me. So until then, I'm not really stressing. I'm just gonna go day by day. Like, I basically have every day planned already with people that I know and work friends. So relationships is also something I wanted to touch upon, because when you're a single girl living in a new country with not a lot of friends, obviously, like, you're gonna wanna meet guys if you're heterosexual, and you're gonna wanna get out there and explore and whatever. So obviously I've been doing that. And I'm really proud at how I've kind of changed since, I would say, the end of July to now. Like, I think end of July is when I started really making significant changes in my dating life. Which, yes, they're in my dating life, but they also are a reflection of me. And I'd like to share it with you guys. The first thing I think that made me grow is a relationship ended. I'm sounding so, like, official. Like, a relationship. Like, okay, basically, I got broken up with because I wanted something more and my partner did not. So we ended things because we were not on the same page. And usually when I would get rejected by a guy in one way or another, my reaction would be to just get back on the dating apps, you know, just distract myself with someone else, like do something of that sort. And maybe it's because this one hurt more than all the recent ones, or maybe it actually is growth, which is what I want to believe. But what I did after this one is I basically did not talk to another male for like months. I didn't engage, I didn't go back on the dating apps, I just really focused on myself. And it was also horrible because I was really sad and really, like, obviously talking to another guy would have distracted me, made me happier with the levels of dopamine. But something I learned recently also, I think I've always known this, so let me blow your mind. Our bodies are used to having, it's a biological thing, a homeostasis when it comes to emotions. And basically, when you feel really high emotions for a certain period of time, your body cannot handle this because this is where you should be and this is where you are. So it automatically brings your levels down. No matter if something bad happened or not, it's gonna bring your levels down so that it balances each other out and ends here. I was so shocked to hear that because in my mind, I was like, okay, you know, I'm having a good time, it's great, like maybe a bit too much, like partying, whatever, but it's okay, like I'll just go back to my normal life the next day and I'll be fine. But not only does your normal life feel shittier compared to the amazing night you have, but physically your body will release the right hormones to come back to this level. And the right hormones to come back here are the pain receptors, not the pleasure receptors. What? So basically, when you go clubbing and the next day you feel shit, not because of the alcohol or the lack of sleep, but you just feel kind of, keep that in mind. Back to the whole relationship thing. Obviously it would have been easier to just go back to a guy, get a rebound, whatever. It was like, no, I'm gonna let myself feel. I'm gonna let myself feel destroyed and feel sad and deal with this. And yeah, it was really hard, very, very hard. A few months later, I did start something casual with a guy. Not in a dating app, he was like a mutual friend. And honestly, it was good. It was a good distraction. And at that point, I was more or less over the relationship, but not fully there. I would have wanted to wait a bit longer, but it is what it is. One thing though is that with this casual guy, it's the first time I was able to do casual without getting attached, which I really have a problem with. And even though I was able to not get attached, I still know to this day that I am someone who cannot do casual. So I will not be doing that again because I don't judge those who do it. I've done it. It just doesn't work for me. And I've just been really being honest and saying my truth, being strict with your boundaries. So yeah, I've been practicing that a lot. It's been saving me a lot of emotional distress. So I'm really glad that I'm on this path of just being completely honest. Let's talk about goals. So I told you at the beginning of this video that I do not know what my opinion is on having goals or not having goals, like daily goals. Obviously big goals, probably a good idea, because I've been feeling very overwhelmed with my goals. But then I'm like, is it actually me feeling overwhelmed or me feeling lazy? Maybe the issue is I haven't really had a routine for the past month and a half because being in quarantine, like, you're not gonna wake up at 7 and do a bunch of shit that you normally do. I mean, I could have, but I didn't. So that's the fact. I have trouble sticking to my goals without the routine, and I have trouble sticking to a routine, so it's like a never-ending loop. I'm gonna keep trying different things. As of right now, I'm not putting too much pressure on myself for this month, and the way that I will kind of achieve my goals or like be productive is more through journaling, and just journaling what I'm feeling, and like that I think the things I want to accomplish will come up. But at the end of the day, like, just living, existing, living for the small moments is enough. And obviously, like, you should have more to live for, but right now I think it's enough. You know, being a good friend, that's something I very much value, and there's been some moments where that's been tested, but I'm proud to say that I have some really good friends that look out for me. It's a good feeling. There's one last thing I want to mention, something I've noticed recently, but actually it's been going on since I can remember, which is I have a really bad habit of postponing my hygiene until the very last second. If I don't have to be anywhere, I probably won't brush my teeth, I won't brush my hair, I won't get properly dressed. Like, it's so weird that I do this because, you know, if I have to go to work, like, I'll do everything. If I have a date, if I'm seeing a friend, literally anything. If I'm seeing anybody, I'm great at these things. Like, I brush my teeth, whatever. And, like, obviously I brush my teeth before I go to bed when I wake up. But throughout the day, like, things that aren't really necessary for staying at home, I don't do. Or eating even. Like, I'll get up, I'll do my thing. I'll literally start working before I start eating. And I'm just like, why? Why am I doing this to myself? I think it has to do with self-respect and self-love. And I think that aspect of mine is still a bit lacking. So even though I don't fully know the mechanism behind it, I have a solution that hopefully will work until it does become a habit, which is basically I'm going to treat myself like I would treat a partner or a best friend or someone I'm meant to take care of. And I've heard this analogy before, but it was more directed towards, like, you know, being kind to yourself, like saying kind words, all that. I don't have an issue with that. Like, I am very kind to myself. I never talk badly about myself to myself. But the hygiene thing, it's been overlooked. So basically, I make sure to eat, brush my hair, brush my teeth, go to the bathroom. That's also something I postponed. I don't know why. I've done it since I was a kid. I don't remember. I remember cleaning my room when I was like 10 and being like, okay, clean everything and then I can shower and then I can brush my teeth and then I can eat. Like, why? It's almost like it's like a reward for being productive. I don't understand it. I tried to do some research, couldn't find anything. I'm gonna ask my therapist about it because no idea. I'm just gonna try to make it a conscious thing that anytime I realize that I'm not pertaining to my hygiene habits, I will do it. So that's all I got for you today. I know it was a lot, but it feels really good to get this off my chest. And I really hope that some of you that are listening can really relate to the things I've said. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening. Please comment any suggestions or anything you want to say. I'm always open to hearing what you guys think. Also, if there's anything you want me to talk about in my next vlog, it'll be more of like a yearly recap. I'll probably come up with some journaling questions you can ask yourself to, you know, reflect on your year and see how it went and all that stuff. But yeah, anything at all, let me know. You can also message me on Instagram if you don't want to comment publicly. And yeah, I mean, let's just make the world a better place. Let's keep on encouraging each other and try to live our best life. Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful week.